So it gives me great pleasure to introduce you guys to Serena Cherry. She's one of the co-vocalists from the band Svalbard. I hope I pronounced that correctly. I should have asked before we started, but let's go with it. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely, the pleasure's all mine on that. Like I said before we started, I'm really enjoying the album that we're going to talk about in a minute. Um, yeah, because you have an album, The Weight of the Mask. Let's just get into that. It's out on Nuclear Blast on the 6th of October. Get that plug in there. It's fantastic. They got 3 tracks out right now that you can listen to. We got was it Faking It, Eternal Spirits, and How to Swim Down. That was the latest one, wasn't it? That one really caught me off guard. I've totally felt that song. It was great on that.
Oh,
Um, but yeah, like I say, welcome. And can we get, like, just to start with, because I've been aware of you guys for a little while, but I just want to get some background on Svalbard, like, where you're from, stuff like that. And yeah, take it away if you don't mind.
well, I mean, we formed 11 years ago. We're originally from Bristol, but two of us live in London now. I live in London, and the other guitarist, Liam, lives in London, and
Oh, cool.
the bassist and the drummer live in Bristol. So we're a long distance band now. Um, but yeah, we formed 11 years ago. We've had like exactly 3 million different bass players, but I think we finally settled on that for
Excellent.
album number 4. Yeah, and we sort of what's interesting about Svalbard, I guess, is that we all take completely different musical influences. So all 4 of us come from really different inspirations, and I think that's what makes our sound quite hard to describe. Like that's something I always hear, and I take it as a compliment. People say, "I don't know what genre you are," and that to me is a good thing if you can't sum it up in 1 or 2 words. For me personally, I come from more of like a black metal background. I played in black metal bands before, and listen, that's my sort of genre of choice. And then Liam is more kind of hardcore and sort of all sorts of stuff, really experimental dream pop kind of 90s stuff. And then Mark is really into sort of grindcore and technical death metal. So we have so many different
Yeah.
influences. And then when we meet and we write together, it just forms, yeah, this sort of beast that is
Yes.
quite hard to describe, I
It is
think.
incredibly hard to describe. I did try, but I'm not gonna go on it. Because like I said, I heard so many different influences, like so many different styles, and like I said, it is incredibly hard to like pigeonhole, if you will. And that is a good thing. I love that about most bands that have that kind of like, you kind of see where they're all coming from, and you feel that you're all part of the process as well. Like, you could have a band that's just, say, run by one person, so it's very much their vision, that's their influences, it's their sound. But you guys obviously have that. Is there 4 of you? There's 4 of you, isn't there? And
Yeah,
you kind of got that, like, everyone brings something to the table, and it doesn't matter,
definitely.
like, doesn't matter where that particular dish, if you will, comes from. um it could be dessert having as a main, that kind of thing. But I can definitely hear that in the musical sense, in your music, that there are many different like vibes to it, but they all work together as well.
Oh,
Like, you've made
oh,
it work, so it's not like you've got, a little bit of, pop punk, black metal, and thing all like coming after each other. You've kind of managed to mix all that together somehow, and it's just yeah, I mean, this album itself is a sort of testament to that. Obviously, this is your 4th album, like you mentioned as well. But yeah, no, it's that's what I really like about you guys. It's very hard. Like, someone goes, "Wow, what do they sound like?" I'm like, just go listen to them. Just it's really difficult. But no, that is really cool. I love that. I love that. So I mean, from this album, I mean, like I said, I've been fortunate enough to hear it. The good people at your label have provided me with a copy of it and everything, and I've managed to kind of digest it, and I'm really, I like. There's a lot of songs on, like, the 3 songs you released are really good, and there's 3 other songs out of the 9 that I really love. Not that I don't love the other 3. I'm not going to neglect those, but there were 3 real standout tracks for me. It was November, Lights Out, and Be My Tomb. Um, you look kind of surprised. Uh,
I am, yeah. I was, you know what? I thought you were going to say Defiance, to Wilt Beneath the Weight,
hmm.
and yeah, maybe November.
Okay, so yeah, two of the other ones I haven't mentioned. It's but yeah, no, I like obviously everyone loves different stuff, but I it just felt like Lights Out was really, it just felt really powerful. I don't know what it was. I think I just really kind of um fell into that song. Um and I don't know if it's just I don't know. It was just like the lyrics, the music, and it just kind of all really worked. It really hit me somewhere. So it's sort of I don't know if I know you guys are sort of advocates on the mental health side of things, and within your music you try and bring up, you know, various things. I think your last album you were very it was more about the sort of like the darkness, the demons, if you will, on that front. And I believe I read somewhere that this one's more about fighting said demons on, on this one. But could you take me through, like, if you don't mind, just like take me through a couple of those tracks, like Lights Out or Be My Team? What were the real kind of like? What was the feeling behind them?
Well, there's with Svalbard, especially when it comes to me writing the lyrics, everything I do is a reference to something else. And on this album, all of these tracks are references to other pieces of music or art that got me through
Okay.
depression, and then taking from that to describe what I'm going through. So Lights Out, the track title is based on an EP by a prog band called Antimatter called Lights Out,
Okay.
which was an album, an EP that I listened to a lot. It's a very kind of bleak, inward-looking, depressing EP, and that was one of those pieces of music I think when you're really struggling,
Yeah.
there's a comfort that can be found in very depressing music because it
Yes.
feels like they're sitting there with you and they're not telling you to cheer up or to smile. They're just there experiencing that pain with you and making you feel less alone. So Lights Out is inspired by the EP Lights Out by Antimatter, and then Be My Tomb is inspired by Empty Rooms by Gary Moore.
Okay.
So, like lyrically, in that song, you've got empty rooms where we learn to live without love. And at the time, what you know, what Be My Team is about living on your own, in isolation and kind of feeling, yeah, very sort of like detached and learning to live without love and that those kind of themes. And I just felt that Gary Moore lyric really described what I was going through at the moment. So, Be My Tomb is kind of a reference to the Gary Moore song Empty Rooms.
And while we're at it, November, is that
November is an anti-Christmas song. So,
okay?
and it's based on, again, another song, the 90s band All About Eve have a song called December, which is
Okay.
about kind of like longing for a person from your past at Christmas time. And then I called this song November because to kind of pay tribute to the song December by All About Eve. But yeah, it's an anti-Christmas song. I think if you're not in a happy relationship, if you're not in the best family situation or living situation, Christmas can be really hard and really like depressing, and it makes you feel like you're missing out on some kind of warmth that everyone else has. And yeah, it can be a very sort of isolating time. So I wanted to write a song about that and write, you know, a Christmas song that isn't about happy families gather roasting chestnuts by the fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is November's an anti-Christmas song.
It's amazing. I love that. I totally love that. No, that's thank you for giving me the lowdown on those three songs. I mean, it like I said, it like I know the Gary Moore um release you're talking about as well. But I will go and check out the others. I believe I have heard the Anti-Static one, but I can't remember right now. It's probably a while ago. But yeah, no, thank you for that. I appreciate it. So what with Svalbard, what obviously we've just come out of sort of festival season, if you will, and a lot of bands are looking to next year on what they're going to be doing. Have you guys got anything coming up in like this year, or is it all sort of based for next year?
So after the album's out, we are going on a short tour. It starts on, I want to say the 14th of October in the Netherlands playing Soul Crusher Festival. Then we have 4 dates in Germany, a date in France, in Paris. And then we come back to the UK to play Beyond the Redshift Festival in London
Okay.
on Friday, the 20th of October. And then we finish up the tour in Leeds on the 21st of October at the Key Club. So it's, yeah, just a nice little rung of dates to
Yeah.
get the new songs out there, play them live for the first time, which is always really exciting. And then we've got lots more to be announced very soon in the future.
Excellent, excellent. What songs I mean, obviously the whole album you're probably looking forward to playing live, but are there any songs on that album you just cannot wait to sort of unleash on the unsuspecting public, if you will?
The final song on the album, To Wilt Beneath the Weight, I think it has some of my favorite lyrics in that one, and they're combined at the same time as one of my favorite guitar leads that I've written.
Oh, nice.
I think the lyric is "Grit your teeth when they've just been broken," which I think is just a very kind of symbolic lyric, and it's such a massive part in the song. I'm really, really looking forward to screaming that one live. Really looking forward to shredding it on the guitar as well. So very excited to play that song. And yeah, Lights Out as well. I think that's going to be a real hard hitter
Yeah.
live as well. It's interesting though, because you can sit here and you can imagine how it's going to be,
Yes.
but you can never predict how the crowd is going to react. So we've had songs on albums before, on like the second album, where we've gone, oh yeah, this one's going to be a real treat live, and then it just doesn't. It doesn't have the energy that you think it will. So
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting to see what the crowd react to from the new album for sure.
Okay, no, that's really. I mean, I can totally relate to that. Like, I've been in a position of being on stage and writing albums. I was in a band years ago, but yeah, having that, you think, oh, this song is going to be absolutely fucking amazing live. It's people are just going to go off. You play it, and you're like, no one's doing anything. And you're just like, what? No. Then it's one of the other ones you just don't suspect that
Yeah.
will be the sort of like the one that gets everyone going, or at least gets that mosh pit hitting and stuff. So but no, I mean, I'm hoping to catch you guys at some point, either this run or probably sometime next year, because I'm really interested to hear these songs like live in person. So I'll definitely keep an eye on the dates and everything. I've something, a little birdie told me something, your press agent in fact, but no, I heard you were personally invited by Dino Cazares to perform, this is amazing, with Fear Factory at their forthcoming London show, and you're going to be doing Edge Crusher, is that right?
Yeah, yeah. Dino got in touch with me on Instagram and
Yeah.
asked me to come and perform Edge Crusher with them at the Electric Ballroom, which is I mean, it's such an honor. I'm a huge Fear Factory fan, but it's also a real full circle moment for me because Fear Factory were the band that got me into metal.
Oh,
Uh, so I'm really, and Obsolete was the first metal album I ever bought. So
amazing.
yeah, really excited for that.
I mean, how did that come about? I mean, that's like, it's like you say, it's a full circle moment for you on that front. But I mean, I'd be, well, myself, I'd be nervous. I'd be excited. But how did this happen? What was the story really?
Dino, I think he's really got his ear to the ground when it comes to discovering new metal bands and stuff. He seems to, really have his finger on the pulse in finding new bands, and he discovered Svalbard on our third album, When I Die Will I Get Better.
Yeah.
And he'd messaged the band a couple of times. We sent him the album, everything like that, and he was like, "Oh, I really, really like it." Like he was really supportive, and I thought that was so nice of him to reach out when he was, enjoying the record. So that was a real honor. And then we just sort of stayed in touch on social media. And then when they announced their UK tour, and I mentioned, I think I said, "Oh, I'll see you in London," and then he was like, "Oh, well, if you're going to be there, do you want to come and do a song with us?" And yeah, it still doesn't feel real. I don't think it will feel real even when I'm like after I've come off the stage with
Yeah.
them. Like
Yeah.
it's going to be amazing.
That is going to be amazing. I mean, I love Fear Factory. They're one of my sort of like top bands of all time. They very much. So I've always loved the mix of electronic music and metal, and Fear Factory are kind of the precipice of that. Well, from back when I was younger, there's a few more bands that do it now. There were a few bands back then that did it as well, the more industrial side of things, Nine Inch Nails, Ministry, etc. But Fear Factory really had that kind of like thumping edge that I always kind of like wanted to hear. And it's only been a few bands since that have really kind of like melded those elements together to make something that really hits hard. I can think of like Pitch Shifter. I can think of like more recently Pendulum. I know Bring Me the Horizon did it with their EP they did with Mick Gordon, and stuff like that. And obviously Enter Shikari. You know, they're sort of on the more lighter side of the rock genre. But yeah, it's like Fear Factory is. I mean, I had Dino on the show. I think it was like 2 years ago when they released. Oh God, I can't remember the album. But it was the last album with Burton. And I know they've got a new guy in now, um, which I'm looking forward to seeing. So I might be at that London show, so I might see
Oh,
them there. But it like I mean that opportunity. That's like I when I was sort of like made aware of that, I was just like, so there's this like element of like I'd love to do something like that. But no, you're right. Dino has a very much he has his eyes open and his ears open, and he responds to pretty much everything online as well. So you know he's active, he's passionate about what he's doing still, and he's reaching
oh,
out obviously to bands like yourself and God, you get to do Edge Crusher. I love that song.
I know, yeah. So excited.
It is insane. It is absolutely insane. I love it. I love it though. I love it when this happens. Like especially like you got this metal community and there's a lot of times where you think things should kind of come together and you know and when they do, it's you know obviously you're going to be right at the front at the Electric Ballroom, so it's going to be good. So anyone go to that as well. Anyone looking on there, but yeah. So like um what was I going to say? I mean, next year, do you know if you're hitting many of the festivals yet, or you can't say anything? That's a silly question.
Yeah,
Um,
unfortunately, I can't really go into yeah, into what
okay,
we can announce yet for next
okay,
year.
no worries, no worries. Trying to get a scoop there, didn't work. But cool. I've got a couple of questions left for you, if that's all right, and then I'll let you get on with the rest of your evening. So what I would like, you've already mentioned kind of one of them already, but what I'd like to find out from my guests is the three albums that are more that are more associated with definitive moments for you. So not necessarily your favorite albums. So not necessarily like Black a lot of people Black Album or Appetite for Destruction or anything like that. But albums that when you first heard it, obviously we've already gone with Fear Factory for this. It got you into metal. But what albums made you want to be a singer or a guitarist or anything like that? Have you got like the other albums that you know that were kind of like I heard that I want to do that?
So just to clarify, I can pick three more, or is Obsolete being
Uh,
included in this
you
three?
can pick three more.
Okay. I mean, the album that made me want to pick up a guitar was Clayman by In Flames.
Oh,
I absolutely love the dual harmonic leads on that album. Songs like Swim, oh my God, just the guitars have so much voice to them in that album, and the melodies are so infectious, and it's such a like varied album. You've got like a real kind of mainstream banger like Only for the Week, but then you've got, Another Day in Quicksand as well. So it's just an absolute, I would describe Clayman by In Flames as a perfect album, but it is the album that made me want to start playing guitar. Huge, huge inspiration for me. So yeah, really, really love that record. And then in terms of wanting to do vocals, I'd have to say Wages of Sin, but I'm just talking about Melodeath now.
that's good.
Wages of Sin by Arch Enemy. I remember that was one of, I mean, I'd listened to Kitty and bands like that, but Wages of Sin was when, I
Yes.
heard an album and I couldn't believe that was a woman making those screams. Like Angela Gossow has such a powerful voice. And I remember it like lit a fire inside me when I heard those first screams on Enemy Within, the opening track. Wow. Um, what an inspiration. And so I remember like trying to scream along to Ravenous in my bedroom, like, but quietly, so my mum
Yes.
couldn't hear.
Yep.
So yeah, that was, and then I think if you're gonna throw a bit of a curveball, in the album that made me really want to write music and like, compose things from scratch, because I've made solo albums, all this kind of thing as
Yeah.
well outside of Svalbard, would be and you're not going to believe it, Century Child by Nightwish.
Okay. Yep.
Nightwish are my favorite band of all time. I think there's all other bands, and then there's Nightwish, and Nightwish is a feeling. It's a feeling that you feel in your heart,
Yes.
and it's so cheesy, but it's true. And yeah, hearing Toomas's grand compositions and his lyrics, and like the delivery of those songs, and the darkness that brews kind of within them,
Yep.
but yet there's like a magic to it as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that is just, it's the most inspiring thing in the world. I'll never be able to write a song as good as a Nightwish song, but it's definitely what keeps me trying.
Yeah. I mean, you got to keep going. I mean, Nightwish, you're right. They are a special band. They are um, almost in a league of their own, if you
Yeah.
on that front. And they've always kind of, I don't know, I've got a songbook somewhere, a Nightwish songbook, where it's all yeah, it's all like I can't find it. I was just looking around to see if I could see it. I found it recently and I was like, I forgot I had it, but it's like just all the like music in this book, and it is couldn't find it online either. I looked it up online to see what it was like, you know, not what it was worth, but what it was, where it came from, because I can't remember. And it was, I think it was just a random like extra with the CD, but it was like a big, like proper hard music book. But yeah, they're great. Sorry, direction on that. Arch Enemy, yes, they're like, again, that was like, it was at that moment we go, is that, how is that sound coming out of her? And I like, a lot of like bands have come out, obviously you've come out from this as well, and you've got bands now like Spirit Box and Ginger and oh god, what was the other ones? There's a few
Oh,
others.
yeah, Ithaca.
Yeah, yeah, and but the voice, like it's, I mean, it surprises me, I'm not gonna lie. It's like, it's that kind of thing of like, not used to seeing that kind of noise come out of something so small on that front. But it's amazing. I mean, I absolutely love it. It was one of the things that the scene like missed for a long time, was having that female you know, front woman singer that could pull off basically what the men could do, like when it comes to screaming and giving it that kind of like that metal edge that a lot of people kind of wanted, or you know, thought that was missing. But obviously it takes a bit of inspiration and you know, a bit of a fuck you to everyone else and just do it kind of thing. So and I totally applaud that as a father of like, you know, 3 daughters. It's kind of like, yeah, you do that, do it. I can, you know,
Oh,
do it. If you want to do it, do it. But yeah, and oh god, what was the other one you said?
In
In
Flame.
Oh my god, In Flames, yes, one of my favorite bands. And yeah, Clayman, an amazing album, absolutely amazing. I have a long history with In Flames and my sort of love for their music. And I first heard them, I think it was like 20 something years ago, and they were on a cover CD with my band, or on Metal Hammer back in the day, and they had, I think it was Pinball Map on there, and
I
and
had that cover CD.
oh, did you?
Yeah, that was Metal Hammer 2002. I want to say January. It was just
Yeah,
before the Slipknot tour, where In Flames were the second support to Slipknot,
yeah.
because that was how I discovered it, was Pinball Map on that
Okay.
CD,
I'm
seeing them
like,
support.
I'm on their track 18, I think it was.
What's the name of your band?
We were called Zero Cipher,
Ah, okay.
and yeah, we had an album out in 2002, and we slapped a track on there. But yeah, no, and then other album cover albums over the years, we seem to share with In Flames. Specifically, it was really weird. We had a run of it, but yeah, and then I got to interview them last year as well, which was great because it was a long time coming, and I love that band. But no, that's all cool. My final question for you, Serena, what are your hobbies away from the band? So when you're not writing music for yourself or the band, what do you do?
I'm a roller coaster enthusiast, and I travel around the world riding different roller coasters and going to theme parks. I work for a YouTube channel that has 1.2 million subscribers called Coaster Force. I just came back from a road trip around the States where I rode lots of amazing rides. Yeah, and I'm super nerdy about it, and can be very tedious. So I should not be encouraged to talk
Oh,
about roller coasters, because then I'll start talking about linear syncratic motors and stuff like that, and no one needs to hear that.
Okay.
I'm also an avid gamer. I work in the games industry now, and yeah, big fan of FromSoft games and RPGs and anything that punishes me and makes me die every 20 minutes.
Amazing. Two things that I love right there: roller coasters and video games. I really want to go into it, but I won't. I'll try. No, hang on. I used to live in Florida, so
Oh, okay.
I was right next to Busch Gardens,
Mhm.
and obviously Disney was down the road and everything. So, just to give you my story, and it's like one afternoon, me and my stepdaughter, we basically decided to ride every roller coaster at Busch Gardens, and we did it in one afternoon. Like we got there because it was like everyone was at school, so we had an annual pass, so it didn't really matter. Um, but yeah, we managed to ride every roller coaster in that park in one afternoon.
I was there last week.
Oh, really?
So I started my road trip in New York and went
Yep,
to and then drove to Pennsylvania, went to Hershey Park, then to Six Flags Great Adventure in New Jersey, then Nickelodeon Universe in Newark, then flew down to Orlando for Universal's Halloween Horror Nights event.
yep,
But while I was there, I also went over to Tampa to Busch Gardens Howlow Scream event.
nice.
And yeah, they've got a great new roller coaster there now called Iron Gwazi. It's a conversion of Gwazi. They've made it 200-foot tall and added
Oh, okay.
inversion. It's very good. But I think my favorite at Busch Gardens Tampa is Cheetah Hunt,
Cheetah
if
Hunt.
you've ridden that
Yes.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've got an amazing photo of myself and my daughter on that particular roller coaster. Her looking absolutely petrified, and me with just like pulling a full-on metal face. Um,
Nice.
I made a point every time there was a camera nearby, I'd always like either throw up the horns or just put like a proper face on it. But my kid's just like terrified, holding on. Um, but yeah, no, I did like Sheikra as well is a great one. I love that one. There,
Yeah.
did that a couple of times in a row, even though it broke down one of the times before we got on it, and we still got on it afterwards. So we were like, it was obviously okay. Um, but yeah, no, that's amazing. Video games. I love video games. I could go on for that hours. I'm currently working my way through Starfield, um,
Oh, okay.
and seeing how that goes. My PC's really, really hating it right now. um,
I'm
but
not surprised.
no. I mean, normally I'm on, usually sort of like throwaway. Well, I say throwaway games, but like first person shooters. So Destiny, Call of Duty. But sometimes I immerse myself in various RPGs. If I get the time and the space to do it, then I will. Literally, my family lose me for a few hours, maybe even days at a time. So, but that's awesome. Serena, thank you. I really appreciate. I could talk more. I want to talk more about roller coasters, but I won't. It's one of the things I used to love just doing constantly is going on these roller coasters. Ah,
Mm.
what? Quick question: what is your favorite one that's based in the UK?
Oh, based in the UK.
Yeah.
Ah, because my favorite one of all time is Intimidator 305 at King's Dominion in America.
Okay.
And my favorite one in the UK is probably Stealth at Thorpe Park.
Okay. Cool. Yep. Yep. I've not been on that one.
Oh,
I live
that's
quite
in
near
the
Thorpe
UK.
Park, and I've not been on that one. So I have to rectify that at some point. Yeah, I used to do like obviously the ones here, Chesington, Thorpe Park. When the big one opened up in Blackpool
Blackpool.
many years ago, when it was the tallest like one, I went on. It was called the Pepsi Max, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went on that, and that was just like full G-force coming down that thing on there.
Do you
Anyway,
want a fun fact about that?
yeah, go on.
It was never actually the tallest because they cheated and they measured it from sea level, not from ground level. So it isn't actually that tall.
Okay.
It was just a marketing
Yeah,
thing, and they
it
still
worked.
say to this day they'll still say it's the tallest in the UK. It's not. But anyway, Thorpe Park are actually building the tallest in the UK right now, and that's going to open next year. So that's something to look forward to.
That is. Oh, well, I'll have to do that one. I'll take the kids will want to do that as well. So that's the excuse. The kids want to. Anyway, Serena, thank you very much. All right.
No, thank you.
Have a fantastic rest of your evening. Good luck with the album. Good luck with the Fear Factory show. I'm gonna try and be there. If I am, I'll wave or something. Um, but yeah, no, thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Awesome. Thank you. I'll yeah, take it easy, all right?
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.